Hi, and welcome to Wicked, a story of growth through connections.
So you've probably heard the story of the Wizard of Oz. And in the Wizard of Oz, the movie version, and the book version, we are told the story through the eyes of Dorothy. And in this story, the Wicked Witch is the villain, and Glinda is the good witch who helps to guide Dorothy along her journey on the Yellow Brick Road. Well, the Broadway musical Wicked tells a different version of this story. And so today we're going to look at these characters and consider other pieces of their stories as we discuss how relational cultural theory fits with their journey.
So, what is relational cultural theory? Well, it's based in the tenet that we as people need others. Throughout our lifetime, we are going through and towards connection. Within relationships, we learn how to engage with growth fostering relationships through mutual empathy, authenticity, and connection within the therapeutic relationship. So here's our table of contents. We got 4 chapters for you. The first one is you're going to meet the characters. Who are they? And what are their intersecting identities? Chapter 2 is disconnections. What happens in disconnections? Power, privilege, and strategies of disconnections that play within disconnection. And why do we disconnect? To protect ourselves and to keep ourselves safe within that relationship. The third chapter is growth fostering relationships and how the two characters in Wicked begin to heal. And lastly, it'll be chapter 4 on choosing your own adventure.
So, chapter 1, who are the characters? What are their intersectional identities? And how do those identities affect how they experience the world? So, first of all, we have Elphaba, better known to you as the Wicked Witch. Elphaba was born with green skin after her mother engaged in an affair outside of marriage and was under the influence at the time. So when she was born, she was immediately rejected by her father. Her sister was born later and was not able-bodied, and so Elphaba became the caretaker for her sister. She was disliked by her peers throughout her life, often teased or bullied. And so when she goes off to school, it is only for the sake of her younger sister. She is not there for her own educational opportunities, but rather to take care of her sister and look out for her, and once again is immediately rejected by others. Glinda, who you know as the Good Witch, lives on a very different side of life. She is wealthy, she is popular and attractive, and so she comes to school with all kinds of ambitions and is immediately greeted by other people and welcomed into social groups with high social status. So when they first meet, Glinda rejects Elphaba, one more rejection in her life, and they initially go their separate ways.
So, what happens when you have those disconnections? Power, privilege, and strategies they come into play here. Remember, disconnections are normal, even in the healthiest of relationships.
So in this story, Glinda has power and privilege in ways that Elphaba does not. She has money, she has social status, and again, she has educational opportunities, and a future to look forward to. So when Elphaba first meets Glinda, she immediately protects herself, understandably, because she's been rejected by so many people. So even as the story advances and Glinda becomes more open to Elphaba, she still isolates, shuts down, due to the fear that Glinda will be just one more person in a line of people who have mistreated her.
So, how do they begin to heal? Growth fostering relationships. And through these characteristics of growth fostering relationships, they begin to heal themselves and their relationship. The idea is to increase capacity for relational resilience, mutual empowerment, and according to Jordan, mutual empathy is the core process that allows for growth in relationships.
So ultimately, these two go on an adventure to the city of Oz together. Glinda is going with hopes of continuing to climb the social ladder, and Elphaba is going hoping that the wizard will change her skin so that it's no longer green. What happens when they get there is they realize that the wizard is not such a good guy, and he's actually engaging in inhumane practices and mistreating animals. So they begin to bond over their shared concerns for social justice. And through this process, Elphaba begins to find her own voice and gains this sense of empowerment, even leading to the point where at the end of Act 1, she flies for the first time. When Elphaba decides to move forward and take on advocacy for the protection of animals, Glinda's not quite ready to give up her social status. And so they have this song that they sing together, For Good, which we attached in the supplemental materials, where they acknowledge their previous disconnection, they ask for forgiveness, and they ultimately acknowledge the change and growth that's occurred through having been in relationship with one another. With this line, because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
So that brings us to chapter 4. This is where you get to work on your discussion board. You get to choose your own adventure. So what's next?
So what we're asking you to do is similar to what we've just done, pick out a client scenario or a character from a literary or cinematic example and apply the tenets of RCT. So we want you to talk about the characters in your example, how they've grown through relationship, and also consider their intersecting identities and how those have impacted the growth process. We can't wait to see what you come up with.
Look forward to reading your discussion boards. Thank you for listening.